Yo, Josh Rubin from East West Healing Performance. Today I want to talk about something very interesting. But before I do that, a lot of people email me and ask me, like, where did you get that? Where did you read that? What book did you get that from? What link did you get that from? And I have to be honest, not to be obnoxious, but I have to be honest with you guys. 99% of the times when I do these YouTubes, I just turn my iMovie on and I start recording and I start talking. I'm not reading a book, I'm not reading a document, I'm not referring to anything. You know, the bottom line is, just from reading all the books in my library, researching, I just kind of connect the dots. Now, I'm not saying I'm awesome, but I just connect the dots. Now, of course, it's from reading certain people like Paul Chek and Charles Poliquin and Ray Peat, Julia Ross. I mean, everyone from over the years. And not to say that one is better than the other. Of course, I like certain people than others, and I take what I want, for instance, from Julia Ross, and I throw away the rest. But it's not like I read in a book that what I'm going to say today is word is bond. I'm just giving you my interpretation of what I study. That's what life's all about. So if I don't give you a link or give you a book, you know, don't be offended. A lot of it is just my experience of learning, and that's why I want to share it. So today, I want to talk about adrenal lab testing. A lot of people out there are doing adrenal lab testing, saliva testing, because, you know, the hormones in saliva are not bound to hormones, and the saliva in blood is actually bound to hormones, and it's not bioavailable to the body, so we can't get a good reading. Well, I agree with that. The problem is all these labs out there and all these organizations are influencing people to do these adrenal labs. And they're studying it for face value, meaning they get the adrenal lab and they treat it with supplements. The problem is, we're not looking at what's creating the result, because the result, just like high cholesterol, when you're stressed, you produce high cholesterol, or more amounts of cholesterol, so you can actually produce more steroidal hormones to fight inflammation, regulate blood sugar, blood pressure, on and on and on. But you're looking at the body's response to a stress. Now, when the body's stressed, what does it need to do? Two things are most important: oxygen and glucose to the body or the brain, the cells, as fast as possible. Without that, you die, you go into a coma. Or go into a coma first and then die. So those are the two most important things. And of course, over the years, I was doing adrenal labs. You get wrapped up in it. But the more and more I started to study and not take it as face value, like just because this person teaches adrenal lab testing, I'm going to do it. And just because this organization teaches it, that I'm going to do it and not study it, I think that's really dangerous. And as a client, I think it's dangerous to actually believe your practitioner 100%. As I always say, don't believe everything I say. Go research it and come up with your own conclusions. But what I've seen over the years is so many people have been sent to me in stage 2 adrenal fatigue, stage 3 adrenal fatigue, stage 1 adrenal fatigue. First of all, I think that completely got misconstrued based on Hans Selye's work. And we put these names to it, and it's very dangerous because people start living and identifying themselves through the adrenal fatigue. And that's very damaging, because no matter what you do or what you give them, what I've seen over the years is it doesn't work. This is the stage 3 adrenal fatigue protocol, and everyone's got a different protocol. Let's do it, and in 3 to 6 months, you'll be better. Well, I've seen people be on these protocols for a year, if not 2 to 5 years, and never get better. A, because they're not changing their lifestyle, and B, because they're not changing their nutrition. So over the years, I started saying, well, if someone has high cholesterol, that's the body's response to a stress. It's actually normal. If someone has a candida growth, maybe that's actually the body's response to a stress or an immune system reaction. So the same thing with an adrenal issue. Now, if we look at the lab, of course, this is a YouTube, and I can't give you everything, but if you look at the lab, what do you typically see? Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, high cortisol, high cortisol some, low cortisol some, low progesterone, which is very common, low or normal estrogen or even high estrogen. Now, I'm going to get back to that, but if we look at it, it's the body's response to a stress. Now, the reason I really started looking into this is because I had a client about, I don't know, a year and a half ago. Maybe it was 2 years, I don't know, maybe it was a year and 2 years, who knows. Wanted to do a bunch of adrenal labs back to back because of just certain situations. And we did them in each lab within the same week, stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3, in the same week. So I started to think, well, this actually isn't right, because what do I do? How do I treat this person? So I started studying, of course, Ray Peat's work, and a lot of other people's works, mainly the body and how the body works. That's really what I like to study, which is why I like Ray Peat's philosophy, because it's a science of how the body works. And I started to say, well, if someone has a blood sugar handling issue, if someone has poor food frequencies, poor food ratios, they're not eating the right foods, the right quantity of foods at the right times, on and on and on. It's my favorite little thing. What happens? The body goes into a stressed inflammatory catabolic response. It releases adrenaline. It over-releases cortisol to break down muscle tissue, to raise blood sugar. Insulin, estrogen actually get released to lower blood sugar. And then you get that catabolic effect. You're going to have the oversynthesization of progesterone. So you're going to have low progesterone levels, higher estrogen levels. And depending on when you do the lab and what they ate, you're going to see higher low cortisol. So I started playing with it and say, wow, what if I just used basic nutritional philosophies, of course, more so based off Ray Peat's approach, to actually work with someone to regulate their blood sugar by giving them the right amount of food ratios, the right food frequencies for that person throughout the day with meals and snacks, eliminating foods that actually are going to block sugar from getting in the cell, like unsaturated fats, things like that. Using small amounts of hormones when needed, and a lot of these people I didn't, in order to regulate that estrogen-progesterone balance and lower adrenaline and cortisol. And what I found is using nutrition alone, and everyone's going to say, well, tell me what you did, tell me what you did. Well, it's different for everyone, and it's YouTube. And if you really want to know, call me to pick my brain and set up a consult, or call and work with us. It's that simple. We got clients all over the world, as far away as Israel. So what I found is using nutrition, right ratios, right frequencies, including non-inflammatory proteins and the right types of fruits and vegetables in their diet that provide the body with the right amount of fuel, sugar, I found that I could balance their blood sugar and pull them out of those stages of adrenal fatigue like that. Like that. I just wanted to do it again. So, you don't have to take all these crazy supplements. Adrenal support. Adrenal support 101. Adrenal complex this. Cortisol manager, cortisol masturbator. I mean, there's just so many supplements, and a lot of the times, those things are not working. I just see it over and over again. People spending so much money on so many supplements, and of course we learn and all grow together, but they don't work. And I found that using nutritional principles, eliminating the inflammatory proteins and getting them more of the non-inflammatory proteins in the body, food frequencies, getting them enough protein, fats, saturated fats, and sugars or carbohydrates, the right types of carbohydrates throughout the day to actually regulate blood sugar. And sooner than later, I'm talking less than a month, they went out of their stages of adrenal fatigue. They lost weight, their fatigue went away, bloating went away, mood went through the roof, on and on and on. So I guess my point of this video is don't get attached to the lab. Don't identify yourself through the lab. Don't get attached to treating the lab with supplements, because most of the time what you're seeing is the body's reaction to how that person is living. And people say, well, what if that person's stressed? What if they're emotionally stressed? Well, the same thing. The brain uses most of the glucose in the body. So why not give this person the right type of carbohydrates and sugars? So thanks for tuning in. I'm out of here. I'm talking loud because I'm loving it.